Welcome to What in the Smut podcast.
Where the books are horny and so are we. I'm Elle.
And I'm Kay. So what do we got going on in the Smutverse this week?
Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo is a wildly popular young adult book that features characters around the age of 17. Or is it? Keen-eyed readers poring over the new deluxe edition noticed that any mention of the main characters' ages has been wiped away, replacing dialogue like, I'm 16 with what does it matter? And updating mentions of boys to young men. Reddit and threads are full of speculation around the reasons behind the aging up, with most settling on the idea that the publisher wants to take advantage of an older demographic. Like many a genre that had wild popularity for a stretch, YA is in its down years, and the industry is especially fond of more adult fantasy stories right now with the rise of romantasy. Readers are annoyed, but repackaging an old story for a new audience isn't unheard of. Hell, J.R.R. Tolkien drastically rewrote The Hobbit in the 1960s, nearly 30 years after it was first released, to make it a better fit as a prequel for The Lord of the Rings.
I did see this online as well. And the way that it was portrayed made it sound like this was being changed because of some sort of like nefarious reason. But it doesn't seem to be the case. Like, I don't understand. I'm fine with them changing some lines if it's going to make it so that a broader range of people can see themselves in the story or relate to the story or whatnot, as long as it's not like some kind of like he was 16 and there was a 23-year-old that was like, you know, if it's not one of those kinds of situations, then I feel like I'm fine with those small lines being changed. I mean, that even happens with like Winnie the Pooh, like had first editions and then like third, fourth, and fifth editions that like little things like that get changed.
Oh, yeah.
From the original. So,
yeah. And I mean, you talk about like UK editions versus American editions where like the English kind of gets tweaked to better fit the vernacular of the region. I think it's probably part of like a larger debate of like, let kids be kids and let them have stories that feature them. And like, I think probably because like Six of Crows was so popular, readers who connected with it when they were that age watch it kind of get changed to fit marketing trends. That feels a little bit sacrilegious.
Yeah. But also kids right now, it's a different, and I feel so old saying this, but like it's a different time.
Yeah.
And they're exposed to so much more because of social media and things like that even kids of that age aren't connecting with those types of books as much anymore because they've had things like Fourth Wing put in front of them. It's like so often, you know?
Yep, I agree. Well, speaking of prequels that help set up a story, I think I should have read the first book in this series before tackling the story we read this week. Okay?
I agree, and some of the reviews said the same, actually. So this week we read Home for the Gobble Days by Latrexa Nova. And the synopsis says, I have the perfect, sexy boyfriend, but I've been haunted by memories of being dominated by the ghost that used to live in my house ever since Halloween. Only problem is, we exorcised him. So now I'm trying to enjoy Thanksgiving with Carl's family, try to settle into the mundane and simple aspects of our relationship, or as mundane as he and I get. You know, getting a little hot and heavy a mile high, defiling his childhood bedroom, and sneaking out into the woods so no one can hear me scream. The simple pleasures in life. Wait, okay, that last one didn't end up being so mundane because it turns out there's ghosts in them there woods. And I'm ready for them to possess me. I'm just hoping they're as much of a freak in the sheets as I am. If the moaning is anything to go by, we may just be kindred souls. And it also says Home for the Gobble Days is a 15,000-word sequel to Give In to the Ghost of the 13 Kinks of Halloween, but can be read as a standalone. It features scorching hot, explicit sex scenes between a haunted erotica writer, her younger college-age boyfriend, and a gaggle of repressed Calvinist spirits who couldn't wait to get their freak on. I mean, going into this book, like Home for the Gobble Days, okay, yeah, it's a good turkey, gobble, great. This is a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Halloween, Thanksgiving theme. I was not prepared.
I was also not
I did
prepared.
not read the synopsis before. I did not read any of the reviews before. I went into this fully blind, and the twists and turns had me glued to the page.
I agree. I guess I kind of forgot that the boyfriend was college aged. I feel like he was studying for his master's, which is a little bit less of like, oh, he's 21.
There were a couple of references of like, well, he just graduated from college last year or whatnot.
Huh.
Um,
Yeah, which I don't
and
count as college aged anymore. Like
yeah,
if you graduated from college, you're not college aged anymore. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to dig in here, and I'm curious because I don't think I saw trigger warnings
nope.
at the start of this,
Mm-mm.
which
There should
I
have
think
been.
there should have been.
Yeah, for sure. There should have been trigger warnings in this. And I was actually kind of surprised because Latrexa Nova has a pretty big backlog.
Yeah, yeah, the extensive catalog. Like, I'm trying to think of like the specifics that like we should call out at the top. There was certainly, I'm not sure you can actually call it primal play, but like chase
Yeah,
kind of.
there's some level of it. He calls it out as like, run from me, I'll catch you, or whatnot. So he does
Yeah,
call
true.
that piece of it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's sodomy.
Yeah, there's certainly dubious consent
Mm-hmm.
here.
There is
Possession by ghosts.
public.
So much public sex, like exhibitionist tendencies.
Yeah,
If you are stressed by the thought of getting caught during a sex act, like don't read this book
yeah,
because
because it
wow.
will give you anxiety.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's also mentions of exorcisms. That's another one that's
Yep.
like could definitely be a trigger for someone.
General family tension during the holiday.
Uh-huh. Reference of, colonization and
True.
and rewriting history,
Indeed.
whitewashing history, if you will.
Indeed. Yes. There is a lot. There is a lot. I think also like a trigger warning of like there's a lot of history in this book.
Yeah. It was interesting history. I mean,
I can't wait to talk to you about it, given how much you hate learning about history in your romance.
so where would you put this one on the smut scale?
This is a good question. I think given the fact that DubCon is involved and we definitely have more than 3 participants and most of them are not human, there's like an entire like ghost orgy.
Yep.
So like this is level 4
Yeah,
at
I would
least.
agree. It's not even just ghost orgy. There's like ghost sacrifice,
True.
which we'll get to.
We will
Yeah,
indeed.
no, I would agree with a level 4 for this one. It's definitely not a level 5 because there is plot there.
There's quite a bit of plot.
Yeah, which is nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking to the last couple weeks, it was refreshing to have some actual plot.
Yeah, could not agree more.
So this does have, for once, it's not often that this happens, but it's a 3.3 on both Amazon and Goodreads for the
Uh-huh.
overall rating. So a 4-star on Amazon says educationally delicious. This was wildly educational. If all history was told this way, I would definitely be into history. Heavy plot, good smut, very cute also. Erotica writer and a cute golden retriever horny boyfriend. Enjoyable read all around. I mean, I wouldn't call it wildly educational, but I did learn
Yeah, I
some
agree.
things. A fun, steamy short story is another 4-star from Amazon. It says this was a fun, steamy short story. Meg Meg went to spend Thanksgiving with her boyfriend Kyle's family. She encounters some ghosts in the woods and it leads to some sexy time. An unexpected kink I've never heard of until now, but it was fun. 4 stars. I'm not quite sure what that kink is, unless it's her kink of wanting to get it on with ghosts. But
Yeah, I think that is what is being referred to here. I feel like ghosts have to be real for it to be a kink, but in the fictional world in which ghosts are real and horny,
that's
I
true.
guess that it is a kink.
I mean, I think ghosts are real.
Do you want to sex them or
No, Did you
Okay.
say, do you want to sex them?
Uh-huh. Yep.
No,
Yes, I
no,
did.
no, I don't. I mean, that's not my kink, but I think ghosts are real. I think it's a real thing, but no, I don't want to sex them.
A 2-star from Goodreads says, no, with a ghost emoji, water droplets emoji, eggplant emoji, turkey emoji, plain emoji, and cry laughing emoji. I did learn new non-naughty words, though, so thumbs up for learning. But seriously, flight attendants and your fellow plane occupants will notice. Please do not attend.
This one made me laugh because,
Yeah.
one, I knew that you probably knew these words already. I did not. But I was like, I like learning new words. So there was that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we'll get to the plain piece for
We
sure.
will. We will. A 2-star from Goodreads. After finishing this, some time was needed to process what happened. It has been 2 hours. What the fuck? It started off with awkward public acts on a plane, not in the bathroom, if you were thinking Mile High Club, to edging at his parents when she just couldn't wait to be sure his family was not around. All the while as she missed her one-night stand with a ghost? Then pilgrim beings wanting to use their paranormal sex toy to do what to Carl? A screw. They wanted to use an old rusty screw on Carl? Coherent thoughts are not happening at the moment. What is going on? I empathize with this reviewer, I think.
I did have a lot of those same thoughts as I was
Yes.
reading this
Yes.
book. So, as always, there will be spoilers. If you are interested in giving Latrexa Nova her page reads on Kindle Unlimited,
Mm-hmm.
pause here, come back, and we will be waiting for you to really get into this one.
Yes. For now, let's talk about this because what in the actual smut? What in the smut?
Yep.
What in the smut is this? We start off immediately getting the information that we are in a sequel, which I was like, oh no, how much context have we missed? And boy, oh boy, did we miss some context from Halloween.
And we get this like in the first sentence, you're like, oh shit, there is a whole ass story
Yeah.
that we missed.
Yes. Because unlike Free Use Thanksgiving, which did reference Halloween a lot, I got the sense from Free Use Thanksgiving that the Halloween book, the main character was her best friend and she was there and mentioned. Whereas, like, this one is a direct sequel
Yeah.
to this main character's previous story. There's a lot here. It says, my house was still a wreck. It had been 3 weeks since the ghost of Arthur Richardson flipped my world and me upside down, and I met my now boyfriend, Carl. Okay.
So it's been 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And she's flying across the country.
From the Pacific Northwest to Massachusetts to spend Thanksgiving with her new boyfriend's family.
Yes.
That's
3
wild.
weeks.
That's insane.
They are on track to purchase a home together within the first year.
This is true. And we know how I feel about that. And it could not be worse because this man has no income right now. He is a college graduate in a master's program. He's not working. Our main character, Meg, is an erotica writer, and it was still so weird to have a boyfriend. So many years of disappointments, and I actually liked him a lot. It helped that he didn't bat an eye at what I did for work. Past partners paled when I confessed I wrote erotica, in the same way some people get upset if you've slept with anyone else. And that he was totally fine with the whole getting possessed and fucked by a horny ghost thing.
I was entirely on board with this until the fucked by a horny ghost part.
Yeah. Yes. Because, like, yeah, people, men especially, can get very weird about anyone that works in a, I would say, sex adjacent profession.
Yes.
Erotica, OnlyFans, not to mention like actual sex workers, like having had previous sexual experiences is definitely something that I have found men don't want to know about
Well,
women.
right. And I mean, talking about sex is
Mhm.
frequently something that men don't want
To do.
to do or for you to do.
Yeah.
So this spoke to me
Mhm.
a lot because I was like, the fact that he didn't bat an eye, get it, girl. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. This is somebody that is not dismissing your occupation, that
Yes.
is not dismissing your interests, your likes, your like, get it. And then we got that possessed and fucked by a horny ghost part. And I was like, ugh, man.
Well, and it's also like, it's weird to have this like intense experience that
hmm
they shared together
Trauma bonded over.
yes, trauma bonded over. But like the fact that it was 3 weeks ago, just like minimizes so much of, I feel like, a lot of the foundation of this story because she's talking about how their life has settled into like more mundane and like I don't know, like if I'll ever see the high of having been fucked by a horny ghost again. And it's just like, okay, girl, it's been 3 weeks. Like,
Also, it does say I hadn't seen him in the last week. They had
I
talked
forgot
every
about that.
day. They had talked every day, but they hadn't been in person for one of those 3 weeks.
This is crazy. This is crazy, Meg.
It's a wild plot hole that, like,
That a woman in her 30s would be dating a younger man and would willingly go meet his family after
3
being with
weeks.
him for two weeks.
Right. And I mean, sure, the sex can be good, but like in 3 weeks, you still do not know somebody. And like, I can understand meeting the parents by chance.
Yeah.
I don't know, but to fly across the country to
Yes.
spend on a holiday where
I was gonna
travel is
say.
expensive.
Yes.
So to
Because she
fly
bought her
across
ticket
the
last
country.
minute.
Right. So you're paying probably close to $1,000
Yes.
for this plane ticket after knowing this man for 3 weeks on an author's budget.
I just Latrexa, make it make sense. That's all I'm saying here is that this doesn't make sense.
You know what? If she wrote this without batting an eye at the fact that then good for her because Latrex is making that money, honey.
And we love that. Get that bag. But it does not change the fact that it literally could not be me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so yes, we get the information that Carl was busy starting his master's in engineering, which left very little time for us, which is why I felt two ways about the fact that he invited me to his family Thanksgiving.
Wait. I
Go on.
The plot holes keep getting bigger.
Go on.
Okay, so 3 weeks, all right?
Yes.
One, he's not starting his master's in engineering if it's November. It's not like it's September and he just started and he's getting into classes and all that. So that's one.
Maybe the horny ghost got in the way and he had to. But no, you're right. You're right.
Like, well, I mean, a semester's not even going to start in the middle of fall. So there's that part of it. And also, which left very little time for us. You're 3 weeks in. You should have very little time together at this point. In order for it to move forward at a pace that is appropriate and healthy, in those first 3 weeks, you shouldn't be spending a ton of time together. 1, maybe 2 dates a week.
Yeah.
That's acceptable, but it's going to
Yes.
crash and burn if you're doing we're spending all of our free time together.
It is worth also calling out that trauma bonding is not real bonding.
Yeah.
Like it creates like this psychological connection that's hard to get away from, but like it creates a false sense of intimacy. You still don't know each other. And like you have to have like the space and the clear head to be like, just because we had this experience together does not necessarily mean that we are compatible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, think about it. That's why like so many of those relationships on any of the dating shows, The Bachelor, Love is
Yes.
Blind, any of those
Yeah.
things, that's why they don't work out because
Yeah.
they're trauma bonding and they're stuck in
Mhm.
this little bubble, and they're having cameras pointed at them, and they're having all of these
True.
situations happen to them,
Yep.
not happening organically, not like they're happening to them, and then they get out in the real world and they don't actually know this person, despite the fact that they might have had these deep conversations,
Sure.
which are important, but it still doesn't necessarily let you see the whole person.
Yes.
So it makes sense why hardly any of those relationships work out
Agreed.
because it's a trauma bond.
Yes. So we continue with, frankly, unbelievable event after unbelievable event because we are now on the plane
Mhm.
from the Pacific Northwest
Hmm.
to Massachusetts.
Yep.
And it says, now I just needed to get through this plane ride without jumping Carl's bones. N- this scene gave me so much anxiety.
Me too.
I feel like if you have any exhibitionist tendencies, this would have worked so well. It was so well written. The anticipation of like the flight attendants slowly moving closer, like row by row, like the word choice of like heightening like that, the feeling and the forbiddenness of it. Like the smut is smutting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it is so well written that I am so stressed.
Yes, I was also very stressed. So they are there's something though before we got to that
Yeah, go
I
on.
did see and I liked it a lot.
Okay.
So she's talking about how Carl is absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, and
Uh-huh.
she's had those thoughts of what is he doing with me?
Yes.
And then it says, but I had also spent years working on my self esteem, so I found it disappointing that I had these thoughts.
Mhm.
Again, you're not responsible for your first thought. You're responsible with how you respond to that thought.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer in like you can't help what comes into your head, but you can help how you respond to it, how you react to it, and how you change those thoughts moving forward.
I saw a really good post a while back that was like, my mom always taught me that your first thought is what you've been conditioned to think, and your next thought is who you actually are.
Oh, okay. That's a good
Because
way to put it.
like you can't help those like intrusive snap judgments, thoughts, like whatever, but
Hmm.
you can, to your point, control how you follow that up.
Yes. So it also says, I knew intellectually that looks had so little to do with a person's actual value. And I knew objectively I was pretty middle of the road when it came to looks, just boring enough to sometimes be considered pretty, but not the kind that had people falling over themselves to know me. I knew what I had to offer when it came to relationships, immense creativity and an adventurous spirit. And it felt like that showed in that I was always the one to break up with past partners. No one could keep up with me. So this was just a very like real kind of introspective moment
Yeah.
that I really liked. And I mean, we all have those moments of like, I'm not good enough or like,
Yes.
I could never get somebody like that kind of situation.
Hmm.
And it's a matter of reframing those thoughts and like, I am fucking awesome and I need people to keep up with me, not the other way around kind of thing. And I think that was
Yeah.
really a cool addition to this. And then we get him sticking his hand down her pants on the plane.
True. Yes.
So,
And I mean, it's clear that he finds her attractive, is all I
yes.
have to say about that. I also especially liked that he is so nerdy. Like, this is a beautiful, nerdy man. It says, I often found myself surprised by his creativity. The more I got to know him, the more it was no wonder he was the dungeon master for his D&D group. Like,
That
that's
spoke
so
to you, didn't
nerdy.
it?
I love it so much. It's kind of his only personality trait, I feel like, throughout this entire
That
thing,
he's a little
because
bit
we
of a nerd?
that he is the dungeon master for his D&D group and
Oh,
that he's young.
that is an important role
I mean, yes, but
from what I understand.
it is. It does require a lot of creativity. You are basically a writer as a DM, but I digress. We already knew I was nerdy.
I love it. I love it.
Don't laugh at me
I'm
like
not
that.
laughing at you. It's one of the reasons I love you so much. It's great.
So, yes, what's funny about this, and I liked this line, is she has her laptop open and is trying to get some work done on this long plane ride. And she's rewriting a section of the final sex scene, finessing the tension as the alien Rakush and his mate discovered the benefits of his ridged dual horns.
Nice.
And obviously, we loved that.
Yeah.
And Carl leans over to her and says, "You're an exceptionally good writer," because he's reading over her shoulder and getting hot and bothered.
Also, like, talk dirty to me. Like,
Yeah.
that is
Love
a
it.
chef's kiss.
Indeed. Not only is he not fazed by the fact that she writes erotica, he gets turned on by it
I love it.
and respects her craft and thinks she's good at it. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
Carl is an unproblematic fave.
I would agree. I mean, that golden retriever energy, absolutely.
I know. It's just so good. Anyway.
He does have some golden retriever turn wolfy energy himself.
You've been watching too many of Nick's TikTok.
I know. Nick, get out of my head. So we're getting more of their physical interaction. We're getting
Indeed.
on this airplane. Now, it's been a long time since I've been on a plane, especially it doesn't make sense to me that it would be a cross-country flight and seemingly only have the 2 seats.
Yeah.
Unless it's one of those huge planes where it's like 242. Is that still a thing?
I feel like you only ever see those for cross ocean flights.
Right. That's what I was thinking too, because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but exhibitionist or not, if there's a third person sitting right next to you,
Yeah.
that's
Correct.
inappropriate and kind of criminal.
Yes. It's already kind of criminal. Like her nieces are on this flight.
Well, I
Or
mean,
his nieces are on this flight.
they're
Sorry.
not
They've been dating
near
for 3 weeks.
them.
I know, but there are children on board this
Yes,
plane. This is weird behavior and would result in criminal action if they got caught.
Absolutely. So it says this was our little ritual, a game of sexual chicken whenever we were in public together. But also, again, it's been 3 weeks.
Whenever we're in public together. It's
Yeah.
happened how many times over the last 3 weeks, one of which you were not together.
Right. So
physically.
maximum of 14 times. Okay.
Uh-huh. Assuming you were out in public together every single day of the 2 weeks that you were together.
So, I'm pretty sure it actually takes 21 days for something to become routine.
I think that's right.
I think
I
that's the
remember reading
statistic.
that somewhere.
It takes 21 days of consistently doing something for it to become routine. So this is not a ritual yet. This is not their routine. This is them being horny in the beginnings of a new relationship, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, I take issue.
Yes. It says, "That was the kink I felt the worst about, just in case someone ever walked in on us, even though that fear was exactly what made it so hot." I stand by, if anyone thinks that they are potentially an exhibitionist, this scene will tell you for sure one way or the other.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be a really good introduction to awakening that in someone. Once again, it is a new week and it is a new kink that Elle is like, absolutely the fuck not for me.
But also, this is one of those times where we're on the same page, which doesn't happen frequently because I was like, oh, no, I don't. It's still that tiny bit of fear of authority. I don't want to get caught and get in trouble.
True.
That's where that's what it comes down to for me.
I'm too much of a rule follower for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. So this chapter, it does a great job. Carl paused and I looked over to him. His ears were red. He was flushed all over and I saw how heavily he was breathing. I had to laugh despite how turned on I was. He was trying to torture me, but he was torturing himself just as much. His head was turned away from me, looking out the window, though as I looked closer, I could see how he was watching me in the reflection. All of this buildup is fantastic. Like, we're tracking the flight attendant, like how many rows away he is. Now he's 2 rows away. Flight attendant really didn't have a lot of people to hand out drinks to because it's a red-eye flight. So it's
Yes.
late. The cabin lights are off. Some people are fast asleep. The scene setting is so well done.
Yes.
Latrexa Nova is a master, is all I have to say
It
about it.
was. It was really because it does. It sets you up with that anxiety of like,
Yeah.
oh shit, is she going to get caught? Are they going to get in trouble? Are they going to get taken off the plane when they land? Is it going to be
Yes.
like all of those things are running through my head? Again, not an exhibitionist. So it stressed me out instead,
Yes.
which is fantastic.
Yeah. My I was reading on the couch and my fiance turned to me and was like, "What are you reading?" And then he answered for me at the same time as I answered, "Smut." And he goes, "Are you getting turned on?" And I was like, "No, I'm stressed." And he was like, "Is that the intent?" And I was like, "No." I don't think so.
That's amazing.
This I also hated.
Yeah.
So the flight attendant has already reached them and given them water while he has his hand in her pants and she's hiding his erection with a sweatshirt.
Yeah. Like your arms are across in the
Yeah.
lap. Like it's you can't hide that.
I don't care how dim the cabin lights are, like flight attendant can see.
Yeah, they know what's going on. Are they ignoring it? Probably because they're like, I just want to get to my fucking destination
Yes.
because as soon as those cabin doors are open, I'm not getting paid anymore. Like that's
Right. Yep. And so the flight attendant is now addressing the people across the aisle from them. And she's like thinking, oh, we are blocked by the drink cart. We are kind of concealed.
Nope.
Like, no, absolutely not. And then it says, I decided, fuck it. I was already going to hell. I dragged my hand down Carl's back around his side to his crotch and reached under the sweatshirt on his lap to take him in hand. I smiled. His cock was already hanging out of his pants.
Yeah. As
I
soon
hate
as that sweatshirt went over his lap, he took it out.
I hate that so much. Like, that is horny boy activity.
Well, he's what, 22, 23?
I
There
know.
you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I want a 22-year-old around. That's just so
Their
much.
brains aren't developed yet.
No. And I'm a fully grown adult. Like,
So it says I sighed, realizing that I'd missed the feel of him on my skin. Again,
It's
3
been a week.
weeks and you've been apart for one of them.
Uh-huh. So something I did like is they apparently have this kind of competitive streak where they each try to make the other one come first.
Which is great.
Love that. And she manages to make him come
Yes.
into her sweatshirt, which no,
No.
absolutely not. Well, because then, like, you're going to his parents' house and, like, you have a sweatshirt covered in cum. You can't use it and you can't be like, I need to do laundry right now.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
We're here for the weekend. You don't need to be doing any laundry. So then by the time you get home, think about how that sweatshirt just needs to go in the trash.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. But it says he was panting and exhausted. I could tell he was struggling, frustrated that I hadn't come yet and he had. He always felt like he'd done something wrong when he came and I didn't, as if he wasn't good enough for me.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I mean, that is, from what I hear, the 20-somethings are much more attentive these days, from what I hear.
The kids are all right, I suppose. Don't make our mistakes, kids. I love to hear it.
God. So this did speak to me a bit.
Go on.
And I wonder if you had the same. So she pulls his hand out of her pants and he looks at her with puppy dog eyes and she says, that's enough. I smiled at him. I was honestly too in my head now to come. It's about the journey. And I was like, preach. Like,
What a move.
Yeah, because she's starting to think again about the ghost and how Carl's perfect and great and all of that, but he's not a ghost, which is
Wild. Poor Carl.
So once they get off the plane, she doesn't have a sweatshirt anymore because it's covered in cum, but she does have a jacket. but she's
I
cold.
have to assume that she has a, like, Portland or Seattle jacket, not a Massachusetts in November jacket, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the difference between the 2. We're talking jacket like October jacket for Massachusetts,
Like a September jacket for
so
Massachusetts.
like a windbreaker.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of insulation, but not much.
Okay. So they get to his parents' house and she like beelines for the house because she's cold. Apparently, they didn't put the heat on in the car. That doesn't
I
make any
know,
sense.
it's so weird. Like, I'm sorry you couldn't walk like a normal person for the 5 minutes that it takes not even to walk from the
30
car to the house.
seconds. Right.
Yeah.
So in the car, his dad, this is such dad behavior.
Oh, yeah.
But such New England dad behavior, actually,
I
is really what it comes down to.
I was like, Kay is gonna have so much to
Yeah.
say about this
So
story.
the dad is saying in the car, we're descended from the pilgrims, you know. The mom is like, Dave's side was some of the first settlers here in Massachusetts. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, well, if you actually know the history, that's not great.
Uh-huh.
But Carl says that, in fact. He says, guys, that's not really something to be proud of, you know, being colonizers, which
Yeah.
was funny and an
Yes.
interesting ad.
Well, and it was also funny because having not read the previous story, I did not realize that we had an age gap.
Yeah.
And this was the first kind of hint of that because it says, I couldn't have imagined saying something to my family. There's a level of freedom in people who grew up with more access to the internet than people my age did.
But no, because she's only in her, it says something about like a decade older than him. So she's at
Yes.
most 35. I'm sorry, but
Hmm.
I'm closer to 40 and I
Yes.
still know that the pilgrims weren't great people.
Well, but I think she's saying that the difference between her and Carl is like in
Oh,
vocalizing.
calling it out. Well,
Yes.
I do that now too. So,
Yeah.
but I'm a different breed. I am a lot more vocal in calling out
Yeah.
when it's not a great look.
So they talk about the pilgrims for a little bit, but then he says, do you mind if I show Meg around to his parents? And his mom says, oh, of course, you two should get settled in. I'll get some cider going. And like they get upstairs, and what does it mean that we have 10 minutes until this place is overrun by screaming children? Your brother and his husband and their kids
We're
were
on the
on
flight.
your flight.
Mhm.
They're already here. Like, I don't understand.
Perhaps because when you travel with kids, you travel with a lot more stuff. So maybe because they had kids, they rented a car, they had to check bags, they had to do this, but the parents came and picked up Carl and Meg and then knew that they were right behind them because they needed to get back and get settled, whatever. So
Uh-huh.
that's the only thing that I can think is that, like, when you travel with kids, everything takes longer.
Yeah. The other problem I have with this is a timeline issue.
Okay.
Because basically the whole point is that we need yet another, oh, we might get caught scene,
Yeah.
because that is the theme,
Yeah.
I feel like. The problem is that we're going to be interrupted for dinner. They were on a red eye, which means they landed at like 6 or 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
unless the airport was, 8 hours
And it's
from their
not.
parents' house.
It's not because we're talking about the Pilgrims. So we're talking about Plymouth.
Yeah, we're talking about Massachusetts. It's not that
so
big.
from Logan Airport to Plymouth is maybe a 45-minute drive if you're talking about the traffic in the morning.
Hmm.
But also it's actually Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So they flew in on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So, and in 10 minutes, you're going to eat turkey at 10 a.m.? You're right. I didn't pick up on that. I forgot about
Yeah.
the red eye piece of it.
Like, everyone needs a nap. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that could have worked of like, we'll let you like relax for a few minutes. The kids are asleep in the car. They'll need, I'm
Yeah.
sure, like having been an 8-year-old on a red eye, like you'd need a few minutes to like wake up. But I will say, I both liked and did not like this intimate scene that we get next,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like negging your partner because he's younger than you. And we do kind of acknowledge that because he says, I missed you. And she said, we talked every day. And he goes, yeah, but no amount of words makes up for the real thing. This is ineffable, he murmured, finally sliding his hand under the waistband and in search of wetter pastures.
Ugh.
Moving on. And she goes, ooh, ineffable. You get that on a spelling test recently?
Which is icky.
It is. We're trying to make it okay because she says, I like him so much, it was hard to admit. So the more emotionally intimate he got, I always felt myself putting up defenses, like teasing him about his age. He'd only just gotten his bachelor's degree last year.
So this is avoidant behavior.
Yes.
So
But
like,
it is like, we're acknowledging that it's avoidant behavior.
yeah.
It's not good and I don't like it, but he leans into it as like,
And I like
won't
what
fight.
happens
Yes.
due to this. So
Yes.
we might not have liked how it started, but the
Yes.
journey was a lot of fun
I could not agree more.
because he leans into it and he says, you're going to grade my work, Miss Brown, and then pulls down her pants
Uh-huh.
and she tells him to spell it. And he does so with his tongue.
Against her clit.
Loved that. Like,
Yes.
that sounds like something that couples should read this part of the book together and try because
Yep.
that sounds fantastic because they go through a couple words. So this was where what the review had said I learned some non-smutty words, and so did I.
Yes.
Did you know what all of these words meant?
I did not know cynosure.
Me neither.
I had to look up
it
cynosure. But I did know clinomania. Though I've never said it out loud, so I don't know if that's how you say it.
Yeah, so the words ineffable were one, cynosure, which I didn't know and needed to look up. So she uses it in a sentence that says, you treat me like I'm the cynosure of your world. So essentially it's just the center.
Yeah.
And then he can't spell that correctly, so she has to make him try a couple times.
Yeah. Well, and what was funny was she specifically wanted
Swirly
the
letters.
swirly letters. Circular letters would be the death of me. I couldn't wait to feel the winding path of the S and that decadent E.
I mean, all of this was genius.
Yeah, no, I loved this. Yeah, she has to coach him through how to spell cynosure. He says, fuck, I love how seriously you take role playing. You have to join one of our sessions at some point. Again, he's the DM for his D&D group. Did you know? Did you know that he's the DM for his D&D group? I did not like he attacked my vagina. I have that highlighted because I've never particularly appreciated that nomenclature.
Well, it
But-
would be, I feel like, I don't know, ravaged might be better.
Yeah.
Went back ravenously. Any of those things would be a little better than attacked and still kind of mean that same
Like the
thing.
frenzy of it, I understand.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly like violent words in relation to sex.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she is on the verge of climax. We're basically trying to edge the reader as well as our main character. And a knock at the door and his brother Rick's voice through the door. Dinner's ready. Sorry if you have anything you were trying to finish first. Because clearly she was not quiet.
But also another thing, if we're going to take away the time frame, okay?
Sure.
So the fact that it's not actually morning if we're doing dinner. But also both parents went to go pick them up at the airport because in the car on the way there. So you're telling me you left the oven on with all of this stuff
A turkey
cooking
in it and
for 2.5 hours if we're talking about getting to the airport, getting everybody in the car, picking them up and getting back.
Yep.
That's not safe.
Nope. Also, I cannot imagine meeting my boyfriend's parents for the first time on Thanksgiving and then immediately disappearing and not like offering to help with all of the cooking for Thanksgiving, not being present and making conversation with them.
Yep.
Like they are hosting you. Like this is insane behavior.
And also, she's in her 30s. This isn't, the roles aren't reversed where like he's a 30-something and she's 23.
Right.
Which is a whole different dynamic in itself, but which is weird that it is.
Yes.
Again, that's that's a different conversation for a different day. But, like,
Yes.
yeah, no, you're right. With, like, immediately going upstairs and
It's
not
like,
because they were like, "Go rest for a bit, go take a nap,
right.
go do this, go whatever." But it's
Yeah.
like, we're gonna bring our stuff upstairs and then the door is shut and moans are coming out. Like, you're right.
That's horny college student behavior, not I'm an adult and meeting my partner's parents for the first time behavior.
That's a good point. Also, she lives next door to Carl's
To his,
brother, Rick,
yeah,
and his
yes.
family. So that's also uncomfortable that he can hear what's going on the other side of the door and is like, ugh, sorry, guys. Carl does say, I'm so sorry. I knew we only had 10 minutes and that you take more time to get off. I just got so excited to be alone with you. We've had so little time together over the past few weeks. And all of that is very 23-year-old man.
I mean, it's not very 23-year-old man to acknowledge that
That's true. That's
getting
true.
her all hot and bothered, knowing that he wouldn't have the time to do the job properly. That's not particularly 23-year-old behavior, but the actual like doing of it for sure.
So she is like, we'll have more time. She calls him a dummy a lot, which I don't like.
Yes.
He's starting a master's program. He's not a dummy.
Yes.
She says, we'll have more time eventually. Besides, you're the one who has to get rid of that erection before we go downstairs and spend more time with your family.
Uh-huh.
I mean, true. But also, even as a grown adult, where like other adults in the room know that that's something that you are likely doing, it still is uncomfortable to come downstairs and kind of do that whole like disheveled, flushed cheeks, walk of shame kind of thing, with his
Uh-huh.
parents.
Yes.
And not to mention, he's 23 and his parents are probably like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. This 30-something-year-old woman, I'm sure his parents are already kind of like, why are you with our college age son?
We
Like,
love him and we think he's great, but also we know that he's an idiot because he's 23. What are you doing? You
what
know?
are you doing? Yes. Also, to add another layer of like, I cannot imagine being this rude, she's a vegetarian.
Yep.
And apparently, Carl had not informed his parents of that before they arrived.
I would say 23-year-old man, but just man in
Just
general.
man. Just man in general. But it says his mom had run out as soon as she realized she didn't have any vegetarian options and grabbed like 6 frozen veggie options from the store.
Mm-hmm.
Most times I'd just eat the potatoes and be fine, but even the potatoes had ham in it and the stuffing was cooked with the turkey.
The stuffing I can understand. Ham in
Fine.
your potatoes? Gross.
Wild choice. I hate it. But like you ran out to the store on Thanksgiving Day.
In 10 minutes? Yeah.
None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, his dad puts mayonnaise on his turkey. On his
hot,
turkey?
hot turkey, no. Like just on the turkey. But if you're going to make a sandwich later,
I mean, if you're having leftovers and you're making a sandwich, I understand putting mayonnaise on it. This is Thanksgiving dinner. Put
Yeah.
gravy on it like a normal human. What are you doing, Dave?
Yes. But then we also get Carl remembers that it says he knew my feelings on mayo a week or two ago after I couldn't stop gagging when he had some on a hamburger. He vowed to only eat mayonnaise in secret, never in front of me. What a babe. But that's part of the getting to know you process, like
No,
seeing
that's
how
true.
somebody's going to eat a hamburger.
Are you going to get the ick?
Exactly. And I'm interested. I love mayonnaise. I was interested to know if you were going to, what your take was going to be on this, if this was going to be something that you were very firmly in one camp or the other.
I don't have strong opinions about mayonnaise. It's not my go-to condiment, but I don't have the kind of visceral hatred of it that our main character does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ambivalent,
Okay.
frankly.
Wow. That doesn't happen often.
I know. Usually I'm a strong opinions kind of gal, but I got nothing for you.
Well, I mean, and that's funny because I feel like mayonnaise does typically have a
Very
firm.
strongly pro or against.
Yeah. So also, his dad is trying to give them a history lesson
Mm-hmm.
and kind of make his son look bad in the process. Carl here likes to pretend I don't know my history, like I'm ignorant, but I think it's important we remember the people who got us here. This sounds so current. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
too it's too
It's
real
too real.
and it's too much a conversation that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks.
Imminently. Imminently. Correct.
But as he's saying this, he's slathering mayo on his turkey.
I hate it so much. Like, and so I don't know, get a lot of history about pilgrims. It's not particularly relevant. The biggest thing that comes out of this history lesson is that their ship was in bad shape and a real bad storm hit and snapped a main beam of the ship. And apparently they
Seemingly
had
the Mayflower is what they're talking about, right? Because they're talking about the Pilgrims. But again, I'm not a history person. So, like, in my head, Pilgrims, Mayflower.
because he keeps talking about the Brownists, but I thought the ones on the Mayflower were Puritans, and I think that's different.
Okay.
No, maybe not. Let's see. No, 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 no.
Were the
I stand
were the
corrected.
Puritans the ones that came over on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria? Or were they the Pilgrims
Look at
too?
you with your history.
I know that's about where it stops, though.
Yeah, they were a mix of separatists and strangers who founded the Plymouth colony in what is now Plymouth, Massachusetts. So, all of which is to say, I think this might actually be the Mayflower because it says that the Mayflower attempted to cross twice before and then like on the third time they successfully made it.
And that's what we get from here. So without her calling it out on being the Mayflower,
Yeah.
that's what I do like when like I don't like a historical romance. That's not typically my go-to. But I do
Mhm.
like when an author can incorporate things that make me want to look it up like we just did, you know?
Yeah.
Like where it's
Yes.
like did they do the research or did they already just have this knowledge? And yeah, I can appreciate it for what it is as somebody that's not a huge history person.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I think like the summary is high level enough to be informative without like inviting like nitpicking. It is accurately kind of describing the pilgrim's history based on the Wikipedia article I have open here. Two, you can very easily hide behind this is dad summarizing the story. So any inaccuracies could be blamed on him.
That's an excellent point.
I like it. But as a result of this story, we are going to hear about the family
Heirloom.
relic. Heirloom. Thank
Yes.
you. Yes. And it turns out that the printing equipment that they carried over on the ship, the unnamed ship, which we surmise is the Mayflower, had a giant screw that helped hold up the mast. This is all a little fuzzy for me. I don't
Yes.
think physics works in this manner, but it's fine. It's fine. And as she says, so are you about to tell me that you have this giant 400-year-old screw that it was kept in your family? And everyone kind of is like, yep, we do. And it says, I was going to lose it. I already went into a 10-minute giggle fit when I learned Carl's last name was Sexton. He had tried to calm me down by telling me it's this old word for the caretaker of a graveyard, and that's what his family used to do until a couple generations ago, as if that wasn't going to send me into another round of giggle fits considering our history.
Nominative determinism?
Well done. Well done.
Thanks.
Yes. Their most prized family heirloom is a fucking screw. And then Dave says, "Why don't you show her, son?" And it says, "I kept my face as blankly interested as possible. I would not cackle in Dave's face. I couldn't. It would be so rude." Correct.
Okay, so here's the thing with this.
Do tell.
I kept my face as blankly interested as possible. Immediately, I was like, couldn't be Elle.
Absolutely not. My face speaks volumes at
But
all
it did
times.
make me think of you because maybe not so much if you thought it was hilarious, but if you're thinking to yourself, like, what the fuck? I thought of you
Scrawled across
immediately
my
and
face
trying
in
to,
bold.
and she's making eye contact with Carl across the table.
Yes.
Also across the
Yes.
table. Why are you sitting across the table from him? That doesn't make sense to me either. But it did make me laugh also and think of you. So Carl goes, "All right,
I'm
Dad,
so
geez,
glad.
I'll show her this screw." Also, if it's your family's prized possession, why are you keeping it in the basement?
Yeah, maybe it's a finished basement.
Still,
Yeah. Yeah, I
like,
don't know.
he needs to take her down into the basement to show her the screw? Again, that sounds like
This is why everyone's giggling.
yeah, that's true.
There's a glass cabinet with a few artifacts elegantly arranged inside, but I don't think we ever get a size for the screw. It just says there's the screw in all its big fat iron glory.
So,
Go on.
knowing what we know now after reading this,
Yes.
I'm just thinking about the size of it, and it's probably microphone size. Would you
That
agree?
seems too big
Well, it probably is, but like,
and pointy and all of that.
well, yes, all of that is true. But also, it's probably not quite as pointy after coming back out of the Mayflower. And no,
I mean, it,
still
it
not.
it's hard to speculate, but I don't think it could ever safely be used as a phallic object.
No, I agree. I agree.
It's just not even dulled by age. Like you're still gonna have the ridges of
Yeah, screws have
the
the
screw. It's not like it's a nail where like if the end of it, like if it was a massive nail and the end of it was dulled, like then at least the sides are smooth, you know?
yeah,
You could
that's a good point.
but this is a screw. This is a screw.
And I'm also trying not to think of it in terms of like a small screw with a lot of threads on it.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh-huh.
picturing it because it's been this big, glorious iron screw
Sure.
that it's got maybe a couple threads and that's it. But I'm also
Mhm.
thinking of it in terms of like the size of like maybe a big railroad
Yeah. Pin.
yeah, like a
Yay big.
stake.
Steak. You're right. Railroad steak.
Like yeah, a railway stake. All of it is very strange.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's
Also,
only gonna get
something
weirder.
something from the Mayflower, there's not a chance that they have that in there. Maybe that's why it's in their basement because otherwise it belongs in a museum.
Uh-huh. So there are plenty of innuendos about the screw and being screwed and as screwish, which is all delightful and funny.
That I mean, in terms of puns, that's a good one.
Yep, I agree. But after dinner, they go outside to be alone together.
Yes.
It says the rest of the Pacific Northwest crew was jet lagged, and Carl's parents were all excited for some sports ball thing on TV. It meant everyone would be home, everyone would be able to hear through the walls if we had tried to do anything. The second reason they go outside is because during Thanksgiving dinner, Carl's parents had also mentioned that while their family no longer tended to the dead, they were still on the edge of a colonial burial ground. Horrifying because it's also the site of a mass grave for the Wampanoag tribe that had fallen ill from the disease brought on by the European traders. So it says, I don't know if Carl saw how my breath quickened at the mention. I felt guilty for how much I lusted for more brushes with the paranormal. I hadn't brought it up to Carl. He doted on me, worried so much about how I felt after the Arthur Richardson incident that I didn't know how to bring it up. Like, all of this was interesting. I don't think it's a good idea to go hunting for ghosts in the hopes that they'll fuck you. This just seems ill conceived.
I agree. She does say, fuck if I wasn't a slut for the danger, even if it had gotten a little too dangerous at the end. And that made me laugh. But this is where we kind of get that primal play piece where Carl says, keep up this pace and I swear I'll have to chase you down.
Uh-huh.
And she says, I don't kink shame anyone except myself, but I swear there was something wrong with me because she is kind of in this, like, do I run from him? Because I kind of like the idea of that. So she's thinking to herself that she needs to run away from him for a couple of reasons. One, it's because of the game that he offered, and then also because she's kind of self sabotaging, which, again,
Yeah.
is like
Mhm.
one of those kind of the avoidant behaviors.
Yeah.
So it says it hadn't even been a month. It was like I was intentionally sabotaging this relationship. She wants distance. She wants to test him. She wants to see if he's going to keep coming back to her.
Yeah.
Girl needs a therapist.
Yes. My God. Oh, I will scream it from the rooftops forever.
So she hears him say, "You won't get away," his voice strangely dark and foreboding for him. So this is where we get that golden retriever turned primal energy. And then says, "I'll give you a head start, though. You'll need it." So she's running and then she can't hear him anymore. She starts to lose steam. Like, this would take all of 45 seconds for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not be able to lose him in the woods. Like, he is tall, long legged, 23.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So she does stop and hides behind a tree, and he still hasn't found her. Then she hears a snap and expects to see him having come up on her. But again, it's dark.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like I had the same issue with Meg running out into the woods in the dark looking for ghosts as I did with riding the headless horseman when like the witch is walking around without a coat on All Hallows Eve. Girl, this is just like, you know that the supernatural exists and you're tempting fate in this way. At least like we've established that Meg has very poor decision making skills
Yeah.
and like is actively seeking out danger and knows it's a bad idea. So
Yeah.
like it works for her character. It still makes me scream at the Kindle like a person watching a horror movie and they're like, let's split up. Like, what are you doing? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yes. So she's starting to get cold because it's November in Massachusetts, near the water. She was a little sweaty from running, so now her clothing is a little damp, which makes it even colder. And then she hears a strange, unearthly howl, which terrifies her. And then she thinks, knowing ghosts were real, knowing these woods were haunted, I was scared and excited in a way I hadn't been in almost a month. I followed that eerie sound, letting it draw me in deeper, almost forgetting about my boyfriend. But there was something supernatural, something old and spooky afoot, and I preferred it to be abreast. Funny, but
Funny.
also no.
I quite liked it. She starts to hear moaning.
This part here, the moaning, she's feeling the energy. She can feel the spirits, but it also says, she says, "Spirit, are you there?" And I didn't know what I was doing. I'd only ever dealt with one ghost, and he made himself known. I didn't know how to summon them. So, like, she can feel the energy.
Yeah.
And then she feels that there's a whole group of them, and she feels the edged by ghosts who weren't even trying to drive me up a wall. I couldn't take it anymore.
Uh-huh.
So she was already turned on going into the woods. Then add in the primal aspect of it where she was being chased through the woods consensually.
True.
And then getting this energy, she's like primed and ready to go.
Yes. She says, I was so irked. I'd come out to these woods to get a little frisky with my insatiable boy toy, and then we got separated. And now the heat was on, and the ghosts were moaning, and nobody was giving me what I wanted.
So she takes matters into her own hands, as we've all
She
done a
does.
time or two before.
Indeed. But she ends up sitting on the ground and she can feel the soft touches of the spirits. They can't do much more than that. And this is when Carl finds her and says, "Whoa, you got impatient or something?" But then he realizes that she is not quite herself and goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, fuck."
And this is where we kind of get his side of that whole trauma bond piece of it, where he
True.
goes, "No, no, no. Oh God, Meg, not again. We got to get you out of here." And then we don't realize until this point that, like, I guess whatever happened in that last book, he was part of, but I guess he also has not gone through this with his therapist.
Correct. Because what happened, and we'll get references to it later, was that this ghost, Arthur Richardson, possessed Carl and used his body to fuck Meg.
Mhm.
And
And
like,
I
that would
think
fuck you up.
that's how they met.
Something like that. We don't know, but certainly a bit far from a meet cute.
Yes. So she says to him, because he's like, the spirits were there. I couldn't let that happen to you again. I almost let them. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that they'd be out there. And she rolls her eyes at him and then says, Carl, I appreciate you trying to look out for me, but I was fine. Nothing was trying to hurt me. And he says, yeah, everything was fine until you almost died last time, too. Which is like wild because she thinks to herself, I don't know if I'd really thought about how the possession had affected him after the fact. He'd been so
Yeah.
invested in keeping my spirits up during the remodel, knowing how depressed it got me that my house got wrecked before the exorcism. He even helped rebuild some of it, putting some of his mechanical engineering skills, admittedly, to very sexy use. And it's like, yeah, this thing happened to both of them. And she's only thinking about how, like, she thought it was kinda hot and she wants it to happen
Yeah.
again, and he's thinking
Yeah.
about, like, he
She
doesn't
almost
realize
died.
that. Yeah, she almost died, and he doesn't realize that that she's excited about that.
Yeah, like chasing the sexual high from that, which like
Yeah.
is definitely something that therapy would help with. Not because it's wrong to like to enjoy an aspect of danger. This
Mhm.
is why knife play works for a lot of people. Like there is something very erotic about the potential of real harm or danger. And like that is not something I'm suggesting you see therapy for. Like I just mean the fact that it was an actually traumatic incident in which you actually almost died. And like there is another person tied up in these traumatic events. Like
Yeah.
this is something you need to discuss for you to be able to consensually kind of explore this newfound kink of yours because like he's coming at it from a very, very different place than you are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's like super selfish to not think about
But
how it affected
also,
him.
we're forgetting that it's been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, like, if this was a year later and she was still not thinking about how he felt, but like they're still getting to know each other, they're still at the point where they're not necessarily being open and vulnerable about every single little thing that's coming
True.
into their mind.
No, you're right.
So,
You're right.
they're having this conversation, admittedly, not at a great time after
Hmm.
like another near incident or whatever. You should be having
Yeah.
these kinds of conversations when your libido is not at an all-time high.
Correct.
But they are having the conversation now where like they're talking about how both of their feelings are valid, and then he's worried about the fact that like he kind of liked what happened too.
Yeah.
So they're both like expressing that they kind of are sharing this same kink, but they didn't know
Yeah.
how to explain it to the other because, again, you've known each other for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So communication is occurring, which is good. We approve of
Yes.
this. And we're not going to explore it any further this evening. They go back to the house. Still no one comes. It's very frustrating for Meg. And they are awoken very early. We don't know how early by one of Carl's nieces screaming, "It's gone!" through the door. It takes them a few minutes to realize and process and hear the conversations that are happening that the prized family heirloom, the giant iron screw, is missing from the basement.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, we'll be up in a second to help look for it. And Meg is like, maybe if it turns up fast, we can go back to bed. And he says, no, it's Black Friday. They'll drag us along to the stores after. So, one, if you are participating in Black Friday shopping, going to the stores after seems like a bad idea because everything's going to be kind of picked over. My understanding is you have to go very, very early. Two, I'm not a Black Friday person. So I'm curious, are you? And do you have any insight into this?
It depends. I've gone Black Friday shopping.
Okay.
I used to do all of that. The waking up at midnight and going to the stores and all of that. I don't particularly love a crowd these days, but also Black Friday shopping has changed so much from what it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago to what it
Very
is
true.
now, where like it's almost preferable if you want to go out and get the deals and you don't want to just order them online, which most of them are just online now. But
Yeah.
sometimes as I'm browsing, I'll find stuff that I want to buy. But it's almost preferable to go at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning because, again, the crowds aren't as crazy anymore. And I'm not looking for the like tickle me
Doorbuster.
Elmo of the season,
Sure.
you know? So, like, that changes things. But by 7, 8, 9 o'clock, all of the people that were out at midnight have gone home and gone to bed.
Fair.
So the crowds, it's usually not very busy at all during that time
Okay.
frame.
All right. I firmly identified with Meg, who said, they don't actually expect us to leave the house on Black Friday, do they? I said in genuine horror. I did not like crowds. I especially did not like the kind of crowds that cared so much about discounts people actually died for them.
Mhm.
It's a vibe. It's a
Mhm.
vibe.
For sure. I do like he does say to her, "Come on, you're the adult, remember? We gotta get up. What's more American than dining together to celebrate revisionist history with a big family meal when we're all just going to have to pretend things are fine and then sucking the dick of capitalism the next day?" And that made me laugh.
Same. Yep. I also liked, Carl, you know how I want to be dominated by the hand of social justice.
Like, I love this kind of banter
Yes.
where it's funny, it's intelligent, it's just like the whole thing I liked a lot.
Yep. It worked. I really enjoyed it. So they join the hunt for the screw. And basically,
They've been on the hunt for the screw, it seems like this whole weekend. But,
we are mature adults for sure. The general feeling in the house, with the exception of Dave, Carl's dad,
Mhm.
is that one of the girls stole the screw and hid it somewhere
To be funny.
to be funny. We don't ever actually learn if that's true.
So, it is almost implied later on that, like, the ghosts were
Had something to do with it,
yeah.
perhaps. Yeah, it's I don't know. It hard to say, but basically Dave keeps glaring at Meg and she kind of gets this feeling that he thinks that she stole the screw. He pulled her aside 3 times to interrogate her
Which is wild.
about going down into the basement and how long they spent down there. And as far as anyone knew, Carl and I were the last ones in there. Like, it's just very, very weird. And then it turns out that the screw is then discovered underneath Carl's bed in his room.
Mhm.
And Meg is like, okay, but like the girls found it, right? Like, I assume that whichever one of them had been hiding it finally let the others in on it. And one of the girls especially wanted to go to the shops to get like a special doll or something. And so her dad kept being like, wow, it's a shame we can't go shopping until we find the screw. And so it's kind of like implied that the girls give in to be like, oh, we found it. We found it. So now we can go shopping, right?
Right.
But none of the girls fess up. Carl's brother in law says, I'm sure whoever did this will come forward sooner or later, staring down his kids. Everyone was thinking it was them, except for Dave, who was still glaring me down. Why did he dislike me?
This is also unusual because I feel like the dad of a son
Hmm.
always likes the new girlfriend.
Usually it's mom.
Exactly. If this were reversed and it were her dad and he had
Yeah.
come into the picture, I feel like this would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But it just didn't make sense to me that, like, he hates her so much, other than the fact that she's in her 30s and his son is but also, that's, like, the whole boys club thing that typically you'd be like,
Yes.
"Yeah," like,
Get
you
it.
know?
Good job,
So I don't
son.
know.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, it'll never be explained.
No. Mm-mm.
Like, we never learn why he has a grudge against her. Although I'm sure it doesn't help that eventually the screw will disappear permanently.
Yeah.
But the screw has been found. Everyone apparently goes shopping.
Yep.
And then we wake up in the middle of the woods. Meg is naked in the woods. And she does not question this at first.
Yeah. Also, she's surrounded by food.
Strangely, there were all sorts of squash and apples, and it was like a harvest spread with me as the centerpiece. I heard laughter and chatter, but couldn't see where it was coming from. And then those light, fluttery touches I'd come to recognize as the touch of weaker spirits. I sat up so I could try and see better what was going on. If the chatter was the ghosts, I had hopes they'd managed more than before. Not to mention, I had no idea how they'd gotten all the produce together.
So then she feels an icy touch at her calf and her muscles are strained. Like, so this is where we kind of get that like dub con. It's not a non con thing, but there's no actual consent. But then she goes, fuck yes, finally.
Yes.
So she thinks, I knew Carl had a point, that ghosts were unpredictable and that there was real danger if they were corporeal enough to fuck, because that meant they were also corporeal enough to kill. But goddamn if that wasn't the thrill for me. I mean, I guess if you think about it, and stay with me here, but if you think about it, entering into any kind of sexual relationship, especially if it's somebody that you don't know well or at all, that's the case. If you think about it,
any human has the potential to kill you.
yeah. Like, I know it's a stretch.
I mean, you're not wrong, especially, not to paint with a broad brush, but especially if you date men.
Yeah. If you think about it, and this is like, I've thought about this even in like college. Like, you need to have some level of trust in a person if you're going to have like a sleepover, that they're not going to like kill you in your sleep.
Yep.
Because it doesn't happen often, but it happens.
Yep, this is true.
And then I also, maybe it's because I've been thinking about it more because I watched the, what is it? The Ed Gein.
Oh, the Ed Gein series.
Yeah. So like those types of things where it's like, do you really know who you're like, you know, those kinds of things. So like, yeah, this is true about the ghosts. And if they're able to do all of this, then they are able to kill her. But like also that's the case with any other individual that you're going to enter into close proximity to.
Yeah, this is a good point. You make an excellent point. But Meg is very into it because she feels a tongue slide across her aching cunt. I was so wet I could have flooded the Mississippi.
It's not
Sure.
that. We're not in the South. We're in New England. Give me something else.
Indeed. This was an interesting call out that I'm fairly certain I read this article in Cosmopolitan. This is when I was much younger. I remember reading some Cosmopolitan article about using hot and cold to turn your man on, and had also read one too many vampire stories talking about their ice cold hands. What a mood.
But this is wild. It says, I was curious what it would feel like for me and took an ice cube and stuck it in my vagina.
Yeah. Don't do this.
No.
Don't do this. And it does say it gave the sweetest ache, though I had since learned not to put water inside me. Don't. Don't do that. Not good for you. This is why douches are no longer a thing. For the young people who only know douche as like the name that you give a man who sucks, this used to be like a quote unquote feminine hygiene product where you were supposed to spray water inside of your vagina. And that was in my living memory.
And sometimes it wasn't just water. It was like mixed with something else that had a certain, so you're spraying some kind of scent inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Because we didn't know enough about vaginas in the fucking 90s and very early 2000s to know that it is a self-cleaning system. You don't need to wash it out. The fuck?
We always need one.
I know. But like sex education has come so far even since I was a kid. But the fact that we still had these kinds of like really harmful misconceptions about the female body and like our natural scent, like when like you and I were young, is wild and concerning. Like
Yeah.
when we talk about equality and we talk about like respecting women, like it is not an ancient thing, like we've talked about not having credit cards and checking accounts until the 70s, but like even in our lifetime, like our own bodies are still mysterious and misunderstood to the point where we were shaming 13-year-olds for how their bodies smelled. Like just
I
awful.
mean, there's still
Mhm.
men that don't believe that women actually orgasm or enjoy sex or
Yes.
that the clitoris is a thing. So there still is women are still working at education on our own bodies.
Yeah.
And then never mind for it to trickle down to the men.
Yes. Like this is the most embarrassing thing that I have ever learned, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
This I learned in 2022.
Okay.
I did not know that you are not supposed to use soap down there.
Okay.
No one ever told me that you are not supposed to use soap. Literally, I was having problems with UTIs. And this was also when I got my laparoscopy for endometriosis.
Mm.
And so I was doing pelvic floor therapy after that procedure. And my physical therapist, I was talking to her about it because like pelvic floor can also sometimes affect like your bladder control and all of that. And I was just like, I have been like back and forth to the doctor a ton because like I'm always getting a UTI right after sex. Like my partner showers before, I shower before, I shower after. Like I wash it out so good. And she was like, just out of curiosity, when you say you wash it out, like how are you washing? And I was like, soap and water. And she was like, okay, you're not supposed to use soap on your vagina.
Wow.
And I did not know that. And like as soon as I learned that, I stopped having UTIs.
That is wild. And I mean, there's still products out there that are marketed toward
Yes.
like because it's supposed to be a gentler formula or whatever.
Right.
But again, it can be a gentle formula and then when you load it up with whatever scent you're
Yes.
making it smell like, then that's going to change everything about it.
Yes. You mess with the pH down there. You mess with the good bacteria. Like
Mhm.
that is a thing.
Yeah.
And you are going to mess up how the body is intended to work. If you've never done pelvic floor therapy, I highly recommend because like it is one of those parts of my body that I did not know enough about.
Mhm.
And it has helped immensely with like being able to de-stress myself, to remember to unclench my pelvic floor. Like it's wild how much you don't know that you're doing it.
Interesting. So
Anyway,
we do get the ghost using his ghostly fingers to pump inside of her.
we also get the worst line
Yep.
ever,
Uh-huh.
which this is not the first time we've seen this. And
No.
I don't understand why it would make a resurgence, but
Nope.
it says, I was being gobbled up as if I was the feast, and I enjoyed every second of it more than any turkey ever could. Yes, eat me, I moaned into the air.
This just makes me think of that scene in The Addams Family when they're at camp. Addams Family Values. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Can't remember the specific
They're
scene. It's
doing the
probably been 20
Thanksgiving
years.
play. They're doing the
Yeah.
Thanksgiving play. Pugsley is the turkey, and his one of his lines is like, "Eat me."
Oh my God, you're so right. Oh, what a terrible connection to have made. Oh God.
It has not been 20 years since I've seen that. I don't think it's even been 20 days. It was on last month. So, anyway.
Anyway. Oh God, I hate that.
So, it does this ghost or ghost group, because it is kind of a ghost orgy. It does make her
Yeah.
come. Ghosts are holding her down, and sparks flew across my vision as I bucked hard into the ghostly form plunging into me. Oh, yes, the ghost has actually.
Become corporeal enough. It's a huge brute of a man with a conical hat on, and he plunges his cock into her dripping pussy. His breeches pooled at his feet as he pumped hard into me.
Which she's
This,
loving, and it does make her come. But then
yeah,
also, Carl shows up and she can
he's
see
just
him
there.
through these
Huh?
ghostly beings.
Yes. It says, I could only imagine how it looked to him. I was half worried he'd be offended or upset with me, but it was buried in the back of my mind since I was still shuddering from the echoes of my orgasm. Like, does this count as
Cheating.
cheating? Have they had the exclusivity conversation yet?
I'm assuming if you're going to go for Thanksgiving and meet the parents, that.
It seems like it's implied, but then,
Yeah.
like, relationships are different than they were
That's true.
when we were in our 20s.
So he goes, "Oh, fuck." And then everyone, all of the ghosts realize that he's there. Everything stops and
Yes.
they turn to look at him. So, like, he asks her if she's okay.
Huh.
And she's still kind of dick drunk.
Yep.
Ghost dick drunk, I guess. And the ghosts whisper, "A sexton."
Uh-huh. We want him. We need him. It's unclear why.
What I've gotten from this is that they're all kind of stuck there and they need a sexton to release their souls or whatever.
Or something, because sextons tend graveyards or whatever. And like it is unclear why they would need to sodomize him though for that.
Yes. So they started luring him back to where I was. I tried to scoot back to make room, unsure if they still wanted me a part of this strange ghostly orgy, unsure if they'd mind if I joined in. The look on Carl's face nearly did me in. His throat worked as he swallowed. His forehead was scrunched up in frustrated submission, and his lips were parted. So he's making out with some of these ghosts.
Uh-huh.
She's being ignored now, so she starts to touch herself again because she likes it. The ghosts are saying, "Get him on the altar."
Uh-huh. She realizes that she's on the altar and yelped as her ass hit something hard and ridged, and she turns to look at it, the motherfucking screw.
Yes.
The screw pulsated with this odd blue glow, the same sheen as the ghosts themselves. How did it get there? I realized I had no idea how I'd gotten here either. So it must have been that the ghosts made the screw move the day before.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reasonable explanation for the unreasonableness of this whole story.
Huh?
So he gets like kind of tossed on this altar and he's like right on his hands and knees, almost lined up between her legs. And she goes, "Oh, hello there. Come here often." And then the big ghost, the giant pilgrim, leaned down and pulled Carl back on his knees. He slid his hand down Carl's back and thumbed his ass, making Carl whimper. So he gets him ready, starts to pump his fingers inside of him, and makes him come. And then
Yes.
says, "The sexton is ready. Present the screw so that we may finish the ritual and mark our journey to our final destination." At this point, I was kind of like, I'm out.
Uh-huh.
Again, some people are into it. That's fine. He seemed to be on board with it, despite the fact that we're still kind of getting this like dubcon kind of
Very much so. Yes.
situation.
Yep. And it says, long have we desired to be released from this earth, so long we all lived our lives so certain of our fates, knowing that our path to heaven or hell was predetermined long ago, but neither heaven nor hell greeted us when our lives reached their earthly conclusion. And we get a little bit more history about the different philosophies in New England and pilgrims believing that whether you were a sinner or a saint was determined before your birth.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And then this, I feel like, was kind of where, if you can call it my suspension of disbelief, if it were still intact at this point,
Yep.
this is what broke it.
Okay.
A bunch of pilgrims from,
1620.
1620. Thank you. Hello. From 1620, shouting, "Screw him,"
Yeah.
over and over and over
Uh-huh.
again.
But quite literally.
Yes. I was laughing until I realized they were about to sodomize my boyfriend with a rusty 400-year-old screw. He was clearly into a little sodomy. Very exciting to find out. Definitely filing that away for later. But I imagined he'd prefer a working ass when this was all done with.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And so she says, Carl, if you can get up, run. Like,
Which then she kind of gets tossed to the side.
uh-huh.
And then she gets his phone. So his pants had gotten tossed to the side also. So she gets his phone out of his pants
Yes.
and she calls her best friend
Yes.
from his phone.
Because, yes, because we learned at the very beginning that her best friend's girlfriend
Yeah.
was the one who exorcised Arthur Richardson
Yes.
in the last story. So we're calling Priya in the hopes that she can help with this current situation.
Yes, which apparently she's good at exercising ghosts even from across the country because
Indeed.
she is telling her what she needs to do or starts to, but then
Yeah.
realizes that the screw is inches away from Carl's ass. So she screams and runs at it, knocking the screw out of the ghost's hands.
Uh-huh.
She drops the phone and then Carl picks it up and he's talking to Priya now. So she is
Yes.
able to tell him what he needs to draw on the ground.
Yep.
Now, Meg is getting choked as she's being lifted in the air by her throat. It does say the other ghosts were losing their form, but Big Bad Pilgrim Daddy seemed to have forgotten about the screw momentarily as he attacked Carl. And that made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Big Bad Pilgrim Daddy is pretty good.
So, like, he had drawn these sigils, and then attention was drawn back to him by the Big Bad
Yes.
Pilgrim Daddy.
Uh-huh. So then Meg picks up the phone and says, "What's next, Priya?" And it says, "You need to bury it in the banishing circle Carl drew, return it to the ground." And she's like, "How deep does it have to be?" My fingers were aching from the effort, but at least the ground was soft and mushy. Priya just says, as long as you completely cover it, it's fine, basically. And so then once she does that, she redraws the circle around it. And then Priya breaks into song in some language she doesn't know. And Meg guesses it's probably Hindi. And then she watched as the pilgrim's form shuddered and pulled apart before coming back together like a supernova before he disappeared entirely. A great roar echoed through the trees and then suddenly silence. I looked around and all the pilgrims were gone.
Priya is shouting through the phone, "Did it work? Are you guys okay?"
Uh-huh.
And then we kind of skip to the end of the weekend. Like, we don't get any kind of follow up, any aftercare, any of that. Carl had told his father that the screw had gone missing because of him. He was doing it to protest how much his family celebrated colonialism. So the father still kind of doesn't like her, and she's like, I'll have to make it up to him or try again at Christmas. So, like, already you're planning on going to You just spent Thanksgiving with his family. You're going to fly across the country again and go do Christmas with his family.
Who is Meg's family and where are they in all of this?
And that's fine if they're not close.
Sure, but I'm just curious.
But also, where's all this money coming from for these flights during peak
True.
travel season?
But regardless, she apologizes for ruining Thanksgiving. Carl said, "That's my least favorite holiday anyway. And besides, you can't be blamed for any of that." And she was like, "I mean, I did actively pursue the ghosts." And then they kind of have a heart to heart of like, I also found this extremely erotic. And he says, if we're going to be addicted to ghost sex, at least we're addicted together. And she laughs and says, "You're kind of perfect. And I hate that." And he says, "Wait till you hear my solution to our little dilemma." And this made me laugh. He says, "You ever thought about becoming a ghost hunter?" And now, did you ever watch Supernatural?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So the line from Supernatural is saving people, hunting things, the family business,
Okay.
which is why she says saving people, hunting things, that's a sexy business. And he says, "No, you can't steal from Supernatural. You're a writer. Come up with your own tagline."
Which I like. I like that. That's
Me
funny.
too. And that's it.
That's it. That's where we end. Yeah. So, what did you rate this one?
This is hard for me because I don't feel like I was really on board at any point during the story. But it was so well written and it was wild in like a fun way.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to land at 3 stars.
Okay.
Like, at no point did I want to be Meg,
No.
which is usually kind of how I like start my rating system, is like how much does this work for me? But given how successful I feel like the language was and how much it would work for someone who likes this kind of thing, like it almost brought me along despite my kicking and screaming.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I'm landing at 3. I think Latrexa Nova is very, very talented. How about you?
I am gonna give it a 3.5.
Okay.
For similar reasons. Again, none of this was really and we're not typically on the same page with whether or not we can see ourselves in the character. So, like, a lot of
Uh-huh.
this was not my bag.
Yep.
But the writing was really good, and the
Yep.
fact that I was looking things up and interested to know with whether or not that was the case, that's a big thing for me. Like, it was a relatively quick read, but I was
Mhm.
looking for more information based on what she was giving us, and not
Yep.
in a way that, like, I felt I was missing out on it, but, like, I was interested to learn more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I followed a 3.5 for this one. Even though
Nice.
it was not my bag in terms of the smut, but it did bring me kind of more back to some of the books that we started with, I feel like. A little bit more of the, like, really good writing, something that's, like, a little outrageous,
Yeah.
and this was a new one for us,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I
So,
I feel like we're gonna revisit Latrexa Nova
I
soon.
I agree.
Well, I can't wait to learn who you cast for this story.
So, for Meg, I went with Sarah Hyland.
Very nice. Yep.
I'm not really sure why, other than, like, I follow her and her husband on social media, and she
Nice.
has the kind of, like, almost witchy vibes. Like, she likes,
Yeah.
I feel like she would fit that role into, like, being into the whole ghosts and whatever. Plus, she's like
Yeah.
a tiny little thing.
Yes.
And then Carl, and this is a newer to me actor, but then I
Yeah.
realized that not quite as much as I thought because he's in a couple of things that I've seen.
Okay. I don't recognize this young man at all.
So his name is Darren Barnett, and he was in Anyone But You with
Okay.
Sydney
Yes.
Sweeney and Glenn Powell.
Okay.
He also is in a show on Netflix from a couple years back called Never Have I Ever, which is a cute little, like, kind of coming of age type of
Yeah.
series that I started watching. And he's cute. So
He is. He definitely looks like a golden retriever.
he looks like a golden retriever, but he also might be into some kind of freaky stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
I love
cast
it.
for this, and I only did them. I didn't cast the dad because
Yeah.
the dad for me, I feel like would have been the dad from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Hell yeah. Okay. I like it.
So what are we reading next week?
We are going to continue our Thanksgiving theme. So we are reading Back for Seconds by J.L. Lagos and fave of the pod, Vera Valentine. I know absolutely nothing about this book except that when we were looking for additional Thanksgiving titles, it was listed on Vera Valentine's exceptional list of sentient object romances under Thanksgiving dinner. So
And
I'm
that woman
excited.
can do no wrong. So
Correct.
so
Can't wait.
I'm
Looking forward to
excited
it.
too. And actually, we haven't read one that she's co-authored yet.
True.
So that'll be interesting to see how that all works with how she does a co-authored book. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. Have you been reading anything else in the past week?
No. Have you?
No, but I am going to start Willing Prey by Ali Oleander. There's a new romance bookstore that just opened in Providence, Rhode Island. So I went to go check it out the other day. But this book is a primal play romance. So I'm interested because we haven't really, other than we kind of touched on it this week, but we haven't done one of those. So I'm
Mhm.
interested to see, and maybe if I like it, maybe we'll do that one in a couple after the holidays and whatnot. I'll die down.
Perfect. I'm excited. That should be fun.
Yeah. So if you've made it this far, and this was another doozy, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Tell your friends. We're at the WITS Pod on Instagram and Threads, and we are what.in.the.smut on TikTok. So follow us, see our little clips of the episodes as we go through each week. And with that,
We are at our wits' end.
we'll see you next time.
Was that as good for you as it was for me? You have been listening to the What in the Smut podcast with Elle